Hey everyone, welcome to another video. I hope you're doing well. I'm super excited about this video because we're going to be joined by a guest from the Jane team. If you've never heard of Jane before, they are a private practice management solution. You can use Jane like an EHR. You can submit claims. There's an online scheduling portal. There's a whole bunch of great things that Jane can offer us as private practitioners. They can really be a one-stop shop. But I don't want you just to take my word for it. I want you to actually see how the product works. And so today we're joined by Kat from the team, and we're actually going to go through the 10 FAQs that they get the most from their customers. And we're not just going to go through them quickly. We're going to go through them in depth. We're going to talk about HIPAA compliance. We're going to talk about online scheduling. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff. So at the end of this video, you're going to know all about Jane. You're going to know how it works, and you're going to know whether or not this is going to be the right solution for you. And so before we head into that FAQ, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and subscribe down below. Hit the thumbs up button on this video. Only if you want to, though. There is no pressure. All right, without further ado, here's the FAQs. All right, so here we are. We finally have someone from the Jane team here. This is Kat. She is a US customer support team member. And I'm really excited because as a therapist, we often have all these questions and we get to read the FAQ, but we don't often get to talk to someone who can actually answer the FAQ. And so finally today, we've got Kat with us who's going to help us out. And actually, we're going to go through these 10 FAQs and we're going to get the sneak peek behind the scenes answers. I think you'll find a lot of value here. All right, so we are just going to jump right into it. And so the way we'll do this is that I am going to read the question and then Kat is going to give us the answer.
Hi, my name is Kat. I'm part of the US support team. I've been with Jane for about a year and I love it. It's the best job ever. I get to talk to really cool people. I get to show really cool things and I love Jane as a product. So it's really easy to do my job. Something personal about me is that I just adopted 2 kittens and if they make an appearance, you're welcome.
Question number 1, and that is Jane HIPAA compliant and how does it protect my clients' confidentiality?
Yes, absolutely. So Jane, short answer, yes, Jane is HIPAA compliant. And how does it protect my client's confidentiality? We have a bunch of really cool features that help with that. So I'll just show a few. So if we go into Jane here, one of the first places I want to showcase is staff permissions. So if we come into our settings, I'm going to be able to go into staff permissions, and the account owner is going to be able to decide what they want to see or what they want their practitioners to see inside of Jane. So this is completely customizable. You can decide if they're going to have practitioner limited status and what that means, and then further decide if they're going to have access to billing, charts, be able to manage shifts. So this is all within the requirements for HIPAA, and this is one of the options that we have. We also have different accounts because we in Jane want to be able to track what each staff member is doing. That's why we really advise against profile sharing so we can maintain a lot of tracking, be able to see what's going on and make sure everybody is in the right spot. Okay, next we're going to go into the actual staff profile. If I come into Maya here, I'm going to be able to go into her specific settings, and we have privacy and sharing. So you can set some pretty standard privacy and sharing for charts and then get a little bit deeper. So each person will be able to identify, maybe I want all of my charts to be my eyes only, except for maybe one person, which would be my supervisor. So you can make that selection here. Okay, and next I'm going to showcase what a chart actually looks like. So something else with HIPAA compliance is what we're going to be able to see from a driver perspective. That's what we call ourselves on the team, from a driver perspective. When I hop into your account, which is only going to be by your request, I'm still not going to be able to see everything inside. So if we look here, this is what it's going to look like when I'm inside of the account. I can't access any chart or medical information. There are going to be a few people in Jane who can access that content, but only in very, very specific cases where we need to dive a little bit deeper. There are also SOC 2. We have SOC 2 security status, which for those who like to get a little bit into the nitty gritty of what that means, they'll know that that is great. And we have a BAA that can be requested, and we provide ours to you.
What exactly is SOC 2? Can you share that?
I can. So we can SOC 2. We go into a little bit of extra detail in our guide here. Is Jane HIPAA compliant? And for SOC 2 status, I like to think of it as just extra security. Sometimes I think of it as like the Mission Impossible version of security. So even in a case you can see here with the physical portion of the data, when it's stored, if you can't even pass a retina scan, everything gets locked down. But if you wanted to get into the really nitty gritty, we have this guide available on our website, and you can look into the data center's approach to security to expand on that SOC 2. And just as a reminder, Jane has a specific team dedicated to security and compliance, and you can I already referenced this, security and compliance, and they're going to be able to help us as a driver. If there's ever anything you need, we can reference them as well as the guide and all of our data.
Wow, that is awesome. It seems like Jane is super secure. I already feel secure, even just talking to you about this. So that is awesome. And let's hop into question number 2. What does online booking look like in Jane?
So probably one of the most important parts from a practitioner perspective and for a clinic is, what is it going to look like when you're booking or when a client is trying to book with you? So some of the options are going to be able to book via your location. You're going to be able to book via a discipline, if we come in a little bit deeper here, or you can book by your practitioner. So I'm going to go down. We're in our counseling section here. I'm going to just select Maya. Maya's kind of our in-house girl. This is our in-house clinician. So you can see we also have further options when it comes to the direct services. For an initial visit, I sometimes see clinics have it as contact to book, just so they have a little bit more control over that first visit. I have a 1245, but you can see it says contact to book both here in the treatment itself. And then if I went to select that position, it's going to let me know that I have to contact and give the email and phone number on file. If I wanted to book a subsequent visit, that 1245 now turns a little bit different color. That means we're able to actually book that time frame. So if I go ahead and select, it's going to say, thank you so much. Of course, we're very thankful that they're booking with us today, but we can book some more, say I'm done, or maybe we made a mistake and we don't want to book that position. But here I'm going to press I'm done. And now we have a really handy summary. It's going to tell us what we just actually booked, have reminders available, subscribe to the calendar, and then a cancellation policy to top it all off.
That is really awesome, because as a therapist, I often want the booking process to be really seamless for my clients, but I can never really figure out how to do it. The systems are too clunky, or there's just like wonky things going on. But what you're showing me here just seems like it'll make it so easy, not only for the provider, but more importantly, also for the client. And so I really appreciate how there's kind of like that dual benefit. Let's go to question number 3, and that is this. Does Jane have telehealth options? And if so, how does it work?
Absolutely. Let's do it. Okay. So if I go back to the booking side, let's go back to book an appointment. You can see that there is an icon that makes it really visible for clients that they're going to be able to book an online video session, as well as, of course, the name that says online video session. But let's go ahead and select that position. If I say today at 2:00, perfect. Now, if I head into the administrative side and into my schedule, I've got those appointments here, and you can see that same icon appears for me in my schedule. So I know really easily that this is going to be an online appointment. I'm going to select one of these appointments here just so I can showcase what it will look like to actually hop into that account. So now that I'm ready to take this client, I can begin with the link here. If I begin, you're going to get an extra little peek at me. Hello, it zooms in a little bit, but hello. Online video sessions are included with all of our plans. If you needed to, we do also have an option for group appointments for related clients, and that would just be an extra feature.
That's really cool. And anybody mentioned this already? Is it HIPAA compliant?
It is HIPAA compliant. Yes, absolutely.
Cool. That is really great, because I know a lot of therapists, some of them have gone fully virtual, and then others are kind of hybrid. right? And so to have the option to be telehealth is absolutely crucial in today's, practice market, however you want to call it. So to know that it's fully integrated is really awesome. And the fourth question is this: can couples and families use Jane for joint sessions? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to hop back out. I'm going to take you out for a second back to the online booking site. And similarly, how we saw that little icon for our camera, now you see an icon for a group. So if I go through, I want to book this appointment. Looks like my next available date is the 23rd of November. I'm going to book that 2:15 position. So now I'll be able to select who's actually going to be participating in this group appointment. So here I've got Gail, Robert, and Patsy. Don't worry, everybody's made up here. And then I can decide who the primary patient is going to be. The reason why this is important is because whoever the primary patient is going to be the one paying for this appointment. So we can go ahead and continue. And now that appointment is confirmed. So now I'm going to be able to go into the schedule. Let's find that November 23rd appointment. And here I have it, group with Gail as the primary. And I'm going to be able to arrive everyone to their appointment. Thankfully, everybody's come in. That's perfect.
And question number 5 is actually related. And so while we're at it, what does invoicing actually look like with couples and families?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and pay for this appointment. You can see that the invoice is listed for Gail because we did select her as the primary. I'm going to go through and pay. Oh, looks like Gail's got quite a few other things going on here, but let's just pay for the group appointment today. Press next. She's got a visa on file I'm going to use. So now we can see the invoice as well. I'm going to drop down from the pay here, and I'm going to show a PDF version of that invoice we would send off to them. It's going to show Gail as the payer and then everyone else as a participant.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. So not only is the telehealth session easy for the group setting and the couples and the families, but so is invoicing. This is really fantastic stuff. You guys are just over here making the lives of therapists so much easier. And thank you for that. And that leads us into another question that we have. Does Jane offer consent forms before a client's visit? I have to say that consent forms can be a nightmare. So I'm really hoping the answer to this is helpful for us.
I'm going to confidently say yes, that it's going to be helpful because we do absolutely provide consent forms before a visit, and I'll showcase how we do that. So if I go into settings, I'm going to go into my files, forms and surveys, and I've got my intake forms here. So I just want to showcase really quickly while we're here in this section, we have intake forms, we have clinical surveys, which can be sent out if you're looking to get some outcome measurements that are scored. And then of course, ratings and reviews that can be connected to your Google Place ID. If I go into my intake forms here, I've got a handy dandy consent form I might have made before we met up, and I can take a look. So if I go in and edit, I'll explain just how we do that. So we like to look at intake forms and consent forms kind of like a sandwich. So the general tab is going to be the plate that it's delivered on. How is this going to the client? I've got my name for the consent form. I've got it as automatic. I could also send it manually if you would like. And then another really important section is the valid for. I've selected a year, but you can make it last forever. And I even have some practitioners who want new consents every time a patient comes in. So it's only valid for 3 days. It's totally up to your customizations and your preference. So now the appointment type. This is the table it's going to. So you're going to select where that sandwich, that intake form is going. Here I've selected all appointments. Anytime someone books an appointment with me, they have to fill out that consent form. And then whether it's a year or if it's a forever, maybe they don't have to fill it out for a while, or maybe they don't have to fill it out ever again. If you wanted to, though, you have a few other options, including specific treatments. This is going to pull from all of the treatments you've created in Jane. And I can go through and select the appointment that I specifically want, or the few appointments I want this consent form to go to. Now that I'm happy with where it's going, I can make some further selections. Because this is a consent form, I don't have many profile fields here. This would be more for a demographic-based form. But I have my date of birth selected. This is like your generic toppings on your sandwich. So you can decide maybe have none of them or have a few of them required as well as selected. Then we have credit cards. Again, in this case, we probably won't add this on, but you do have the option to add credit card information into the intake form, as well as insurance information. If you wanted to include, you could include things like the back and front of an insurance card, but that's more of for an intake form as well as the questions. So the questions, if you were in here, you could absolutely add on and create your own questions. You could include from the templates that you've already downloaded, or we have a really awesome template library where you can pull questions from your specific discipline. I call this the Pinterest of Jane because mostly everything in here has been uploaded by a practitioner and downloaded by a practitioner. So you can see this GAD-7 form has been downloaded 1,700 times, probably a really good one to review. But we're talking about consents, so let's get to the good stuff. So here are our consents. We've got accuracy of information, privacy and sharing, cancellation. All of these we're going to pre-populate for you, but you do have the option to add on. So you can add on a consent that might be consent for online appointments, or maybe it's a waiver to understand the limitations of privacy and confidentiality when it comes to possibility of self-harm. And then once we're happy with our consent space, I can come through and require a signature. Always suggest clicking off that box, right? And that's our consent form. So we provide the tools so that you can create your consent form. It's HIPAA compliant and completely customizable for you.
That sounds really awesome. And there's a couple highlights actually that I wanted to point out that people might have missed that I think actually are worthwhile noting. Now, the big ones, obviously, you touched on, which are we've got consent forms. They're all HIPAA compliant. Everything in there is HIPAA compliant. We can customize them. This is all really, really good. Some other things that I wanted to highlight are the fact that you have reviews in there that can get linked directly to your Google account. I mean, this is really cool, something I've not heard of in other platforms. And I also like how you have the template library. Now, I know other platforms have that as well, but I actually don't see many where they have a template library where people can upload and then others can download and use that template. This has the potential to be a game changer. Now, this gets me real excited. I know we're talking about the consents, but that part really, really gets me excited. I think it's an awesome feature. Question number 7, how does Jane help a practitioner with charting? Now, charting, that's what we do as therapists. Half of our time is spent charting. So please tell me you can help us.
Oh, we've got a few options. I'm excited to show you. Okay, so if we go into the staff profile, we're going to head back to Maya. And let's see what we've got going on. So we've already hit on the template library, which again, I want to just say, I think is one of the coolest parts of Jane, because there's nobody that knows what you need more than another practitioner who also has to do the same job that you do. But let's go into something like phrases. So if I head into phrases, I can come in and I can decide that I write this sentence out a lot. I say this a lot. Patient is responding well. And I don't want to type it as much. So well would be a perfect shortcut, but I can make this much longer if I want to. Grammarly is telling me that I could maybe do a little bit better with the spelling. And then I can go ahead and save. Perfect. So now let's see what that actually looks like. So I like to chart out of the day view because this is where your chart and your appointment are going to get connected to each other. So I can come in for Gail and let's do a new chart entry, clinical interview. So I can start clicking things off. This is the one maybe I've created for myself. I can come in and in any text box area, I'm going to be able to add in that / and pop in that little sentence that I had created. But what's also really cool is because we're web-based, we're going to be able to utilize things like dictation. So maybe patients left, you want to be able to not type anymore. Sometimes you're at the end of your day and you're like, I can't type one more word. But here we're going to be able to come in, utilize our dictation button on our keyboard. The client is stable. Done. Amazing. What we can also do in some of these sections is maybe we want to add our billing and diagnosis codes as we're working through. Let's do I know it's not a hashtag, but I'm going to call it a hashtag. No, I'm just kidding. It is our pound symbol, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, initial exam, just to keep it easy for me. Do another pound symbol. We have F41. Perfect. So once we've added a couple of these in, I'm going to be able to come down to the bottom of my chart and see this edit billing code section. Now, once I have my appointment panel pulled up, in the insurance info, I can select all of the different ones that I want included in the chart, or select all and pop those into the insurance info section. And then of course we have the option to duplicate. So here I can come down and select duplicate entry. This is really important. It's about saving us the time to make sure that we are spending more time with our clients. Okay, so now once our chart is signed, I'm going to be able to come in and do a couple of other really helpful items. So maybe this scale here is really important to me. I want to highlight that. I'm going to be able to pin this to the top of my chart, and it's going to showcase for me up here. Then I can color code that, like kind of like a tab on a file. And this is going to help me do some other things as well. Maybe I don't want to duplicate the whole chart. I just want this one area to carry forward into next week's session. So I can press create new chart using this pinned item. And there we go. I have something to start off with. And maybe all I need to add here is a note. And that's the end of my chart for next week. We also have the medical alert. So here I can select this. And it's kind of like alarm bells. First thing you're going to see when you open that chart. So it's really helpful in cases where you want to put an emergency contact, or maybe we want to list the last known time that there was substance abuse, things that are going to be really important to us when we're talking to our client. And it can also be used for things like bonding, just to make sure that they know that we're actively listening to everything that's going on. They're letting us know they're going on a Disney trip. We can ask them how that was. Save that up here. And then when we're done, we can get rid of it. We also have a really cool option for file uploads. This is going to be, you can either put this in the chart space, or we have another section for files here, but I'm going to utilize in the chart space, of course, because that's what we're talking about. So let's go to file or image. And I've got something that I can choose. Okay. So maybe you needed to add a patient referral to a client's chart. We can add that here. Confirm patient referral, and we're good to go. Sign off on that chart, and it's now a part of their files. So that's just a couple of really helpful ways that we help a practitioner chart, and we're just expanding more and more because we know that it's a really important aspect of every practitioner's day.
Yeah, I mean, these are huge. A couple of things that are really awesome that really, yeah, I mean, I'm getting really excited here. I really like the phrases. I actually made a video a while back about making a document with commonly used phrases, then copy and pasting. But this here eliminates the need for that. This gives you kind of like that, yeah, that / and boom, you got a whole phrase in 1 second. That will save so much time. I also really like how we have the charting codes. I mean, this is phenomenal stuff here, right? And then also that ability to duplicate and then carry portions of the chart over. As therapists, our time always feels we're crunched for time. So anything that will buy us back just even a couple minutes is going to be huge. And I think maybe on a daily basis, they might, or like on a session to session basis, these might be small time savers, but added up over the course of a day or a week, it's a massive amount of time. It could even add up to like additional sessions, room for more sessions and things. So this is awesome. This really is awesome. Next question number 8, can a supervisor review and sign off on my chart notes? And as a supervisor myself, I absolutely need to sign off on my therapist's charts. It's not an option. It is required by law. So please tell me, Jane, can you help me with this?
Yeah, I kind of gave you a little bit of a sneak peek on the last one, but let's go in and I'll take a look. So we can go in to the new chart entry. I'm going to pull up that clinical interview again, and I'm going to take us right to the bottom. You might have noticed there's a little supervisor signature space that I added on. And I actually, if you see this little star, I made this a requirement. So once I've filled out my form, I can, as the practitioner, needing to send it to my supervisor for signature, I can actually change the author. So I want them to be the one now who are going to see this in their space, sign off on it, and send it back to me. And I'll showcase how that looks. So if we go ahead and change the author, I'm going to change this to Joellen. Joellen is my supervisor. Now, if I go into Joellen's space, Now that I'm in Joellen space, so I can see any of my unopened charts via this little lock here on the side. Once I've located the chart that I need to be working on, or maybe I'm working through a few, if I've got a few people sending me for signatures, I can come in, add my signature to the bottom here, and then send that back to the original practitioner.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So it looks like you are able to get both a supervisor and a supervisee signature all within Jane. Huge. All right. I don't know how much more my mind can take with all these features you're showing me. Can I offer sliding scale prices with Jane to my clients?
Absolutely. So we can do that a couple of ways. So I'm going to go back into Gail. And once I'm in my patient's profile, I can scroll down and there's a default adjustment that I can add. So this default adjustment is going to be something that's populated on all of their upcoming appointments. So I can press sliding scale here. It's going to confirm for me that I want to be able to do that. Yep, I'm happy with that. And now it's been applied. So let's take a look at what that looks like in the schedule. If I go into the schedule and I want to book a new appointment for Gail, so now that I have my new appointment for Gail, I can come down to billing info, and here it is automatically adjusted to their new appointment. But if I wanted to just put a sliding scale option, maybe just on one particular appointment, I can do that as well. So I can go into an appointment where there is no adjustment and press adjustment. Now I can actually, I'm going to showcase all of the different ones we have going on here, press my sliding scale, and here it is on just the one appointment itself, already applied and ready to be paid for.
Wow, this is awesome. So easy to use. And so simple answer, yeah, you can do sliding scale and it's not a hassle. And our final question is this: what types of payment systems and what types of payment methods does Jane accept?
So we have a couple of different options. Jane has its own payment processor called Jane Payments, and you can come in and sign up for that straight through your account and add a new account here. Now, Jane Payments is going to be able to do a few different things. If I come into online booking, an option that I'm going to have with Jane Payments is to be able to ask for maybe a full payment for a first time. I'm going to be able to ask for a full payment, or maybe I just want them to leave a deposit and then differentiate between a first-time visitor as well. Maybe I want them to leave a full payment. Some other options that you have with Jane Payments is being able to store a credit card on file in case of a no-show or cancellation, and then you can recoup some of those costs there. So if I head into the schedule, let's take a look at what it looks like. And Gail has an invoice that needs to be paid. So if I come in and press pay, I'm going to see all of the appointments that they have to pay for. I can press next. I've got that Visa stored on file here. You can see Jane Payments right there on the label, but I actually have some further methods as well. So if you were using a method outside of Jane, you would just tell us about it. You would just list it. So you can say cash, check, Venmo. You can maybe add Zelle. The other day I saw Bitcoin. So absolutely you can add on whatever you like, and we can register and report on what you told us you took. The difference would be that you told us you took cash, but we can't confirm that exchanged hands. With a Jane Payments Visa, we know via transaction ID and an authorization number that that actually took place. So now I can come through and pay for that appointment. And we're all good to go.
All right, that is really cool. I really like how there's a bunch of different options. I also like how you can put your own different method in there if it's not Jane processor. That's really, really cool. And again, really sounds like it's eases the burden of this being difficult for therapists. I think that's one thing that's been consistent throughout this discussion, right? As we go through these FAQs, I think a lot of therapists are asking these questions because they're time consuming, it can be difficult and tedious, but I think as you've shown us today, there's a lot of features built into Jane just to make things much easier for us as therapists and providers. So I really appreciate you taking the time today to walk through the FAQ, give us behind the scenes, a sneak peek at all these questions and all the features. And it's been really, really awesome. I think people are really going to enjoy checking out Jane. And if they want to do that, they can go ahead down below in the description using the code MatthewLCSW. But Kat, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll see each other again soon.